I'll start this review by stating clearly, this is the best wrestling game on the Dreamcast. But when the main competition are acclaimed titles such as WWF Attitude and ECW Hardcore Revolution, it's not a very high bar to clear. Royal Rumble was conceived mainly as an arcade release, with it being an easy job to port over to the Dreamcast console. This shows massively in the fact that the game has a stunning lack of depth to it. Just two modes are available to play, Exhibition Mode and then the Royal Rumble match itself. The Exhibition Mode is essentially a gauntlet, as it has you wrestling 10 matches in a row. Both you and the opponent are required to have an ally at ringside, and using different button combinations will result in you getting your buddy to help you out in your fight. There's no disqualifications and there's no countouts in this game, so anything goes. Your opponent has their foot on the ropes, doesn't matter. You can use your buddy for help as often as possible, you just have to wait for the calls to help to recharge after each use. Some of these double team moves can throw you a weapon, which then changes the environment to either a backstage brawl or something like puts you in a cage. It's an odd gimmick, but it does at least add a touch of variety to proceedings. The only problem is that some of the matches can be so short that you don't actually get a chance to really use these environments. Once you win 10 matches in a row, you can unlock the chairman of the board himself, Mr. McMahon. The game allows for up to 9 wrestlers on screen at the same time, something which was a real innovation back in 2000. Bizarrely though, this game only has a roster of 22 wrestlers, and that's including 3 unlockable wrestlers such as Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, who you unlock when you win the Rumble match, and Christian, who for some reason you can only unlock using one of those old school cheat devices. You know, the kind that say something like Exploder on the box. It's this shallow lineup of stars that lets the game down, and adds to the lack of depth that I mentioned earlier. You've got around 20 wrestlers to play with here, while the N64's WWF No Mercy and the PS1's Smackdown 2, which both came out in the same year, each feature over 60 wrestlers to battle with. The Dreamcast was more than capable of holding more characters, so I don't know why they've put so few in. The only reasoning I can come up with is to make it relatively easy for a player to choose someone when they're playing this in an actual arcade. To this effect, there's a countdown clock always present and ticking away when you're choosing either your game mode or the wrestler you want to play with. The actual wrestlers included are a decent bunch, which is to be expected for a title release in the WWF's Attitude Era. The cut-off point for entries appears to be around spring 2000, as we have Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho and Taz in the game, but names like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko are the Radicals, they've all missed out. All of the other major names of the time are here though, such as Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, Kane and The Undertaker. Now I'm banging on about the roster a fair bit, and there's more than one reason for this. Remember when I said that you could have 9 wrestlers in a 30-man Rumble match all at the same time? Well, how does that work when there's only 22 wrestlers in the game? What you end up with is multiples of the same wrestler entering the match again and again. It looks frankly ridiculous, and it really helps to take you away from the mode. Oh, you just eliminated Edge? Well, here comes the next entrant, Edge. At points you can have multiples of the same wrestler in the match at the same time. It just kind of becomes silly. One final thought on the Rumble mode is that due to the arcade nature of the game, there's always a clock counting down, and it's up to you and you alone to keep eliminating wrestlers from the match. This will increase your time limit to keep playing. If a computer player throws out one of his brethren, that doesn't help you out at all. Happily though, this is a feature that can be turned off in the options. So after you've won the Rumble and have conquered the exhibition mode, what more is on offer? Well, nothing. And that's possibly the saddest part of the game. There's no career or story mode, there's no create a wrestler mode, there's no King of the Ring mode, and there's no different match types such as a tables match or a ladder match. I understand this was a conversion of an arcade game, but it had a good base to build on, and the opportunity was completely missed here. If you received this game and your friends were playing No Mercy or Smackdown 2 at the time, you'd be pretty disappointed. Now I've been mostly negative about the game to this point, but there is fun to be had here. The game controls well enough, although some of the opponent targeting can be a bit flighty. The graphics are very good for their time, as are essentially the Smackdown 2 models given a pretty good upscale. Things like the wrestlers' movesets and the sound effects, they're all fine, there's nothing particularly bad to report here. If you're looking for full entrances though, you are out of luck, but that was sort of par of the course at this time. Overall, I would say Royal Rumble is best played with a few friends, where you can probably get a good hour or so's enjoyment out of it together. A deeper experience isn't on offer here, and there's just not enough to come back to. The front cover of the game lists scores such as 91% and 5 out of 5, and boldly claims this really is as good as it gets. But I'm going to have to disagree and award Royal Rumble a 4 out of 10. I'm sure it would have been more fun at the time, but there's little reason to go back to this game today.